presentation dedicated to vocation, the introduction regarding the subsidy for holy spouses. We will take a family picture, so there will be a photo op. This is very important. This announcement is very important. After this last contribution, please do not leave. You have to stay here, because we will be standing here on these steps and we will take a family picture. I'm sure you understood. So once again, after this last contribution, we all have to come here to the stage and stand on these steps to take a family picture as a beautiful memento for this 10th World Meeting of Families.
Allora, se prendete posto,
please be seated.
Approfitto intanto per salutare ancora una volta tutti coloro che ci seguono in streaming da tutto il mondo. Grazie per aver fatto questo cammino con noi, per averci accompagnati, anzi noi accompagniamo voi, anche se da così lontano. Allora,
I would like to thank all the people who have been following us from far, far away. I repeat once again, who have been joining us live through our streaming service. And now I would like to introduce to you Elisabetta and Giovanni Scifoni, and they will be the speakers in this last session. They will be talking about the subsidium for holy spouses. They live in Rome. They've been married since 2005. They have 3 children, Tommaso, Cecilia, and Marco. Giovanni is an actor, director, and he's an actor, author. He's very well known. Elisabetta, of course, she carries on her shoulder most of the burden to take for taking care of their house. They together write the scripts that then Giovanni produces. And the Saint of the Day and My Jungle, they produce this every day for Rai Play, and they receive several awards and prizes for their work. And then they have basically produced a number of short movies where they basically told the story of the life of saints and also life during a lockdown. And they will talk about the life of the family as a way to holiness.
Ciao a tutti.
Hi, everyone. It's a great honor for me to be here, even if I really feel somehow out of place. I don't think I'm really appropriate. I'm Elisabetta. I'm married to Giovanni. We have been married for 17 years. Our children are not here, but they are Tommaso, Cecilia, and Marco. Giovanni is an artist. He's an actor, author, and he will explain something and tell us the story of couples of the past century who lived in grace of God. I will tell you something about our story, our family, how we live, about his work. I'm not an actress, I've never been, but our family life has always been substantially affected by Giovanni's work. He has a very stimulating, extremely fluctuating job with a lot of ups and downs. That is very difficult to reconcile with family life. No routine, no stability, nothing. a lot of ups and downs, but we are very grateful, joyful. Sometimes it's a little humbling and humiliating. It's a total commitment, and that is why a couple of years ago we started telling stories of saints on mass media. And at night, it happened that I had to write the script for videos. I was his camera woman, and we were quarreling for some frames, so uncommon things in a couple. And we were very nervous and fidgeting. We had to move furniture around to shoot a short video. So it was really panicking, and I had to be very kind and bear the situation. I am not such a person, such a kind person, so it was a great effort, and his job is really affecting our life. And I don't have my own profession. I'm not paid. So I work, but I'm not paid. And today there is a cultural, pervasive approach that dictates that women must have their own profession to really gain ground and to be considered. And this is something I have to fight against every day. We decided our life together, but I am in the background. Perhaps I'm in a more comfortable and protected place, but I'm at his service. And that is why now I'm embarrassed, and I said I feel out of place because I'm not used to speak on a stage. But God invited us to welcome his job, his successes, humiliations, and I have to be grateful for the marvels he did in our life, for how God really overcome our weaknesses, for the great gift that is represented by the marriage with Giovanni, seeing that his job is a means to an end that is bigger than the two of us. Well, thank you to all of you. She feels embarrassed to speak, but I'm even more embarrassed because I'm used to speak with an audience, but this is not an audience. It's more complex, it's more lively, more vital than the usual theater audience. The stories we have listened to before are incredible. And Elisabetta and myself wonder, why are we here to speak about the subsidium to holy spouses, which is what I'm doing now. We were invited to come and talk here just because, very humbly, we told the stories of saints, and as Elisabetta said, in social media. We have the Saint of the Day, and this was just invented by Paolo Ruffini, who might be well known to you, told me once, you are giving a special TV section and you have to tell the daily saint. So the story of the saint of the day, and they said, Paolo, I think it's not a good idea. Nobody will listen to me, but I did it. And in fact, nobody is listening to me on social media. So 12 clicks, next day 13 clicks, or 15, let's say. Good, fantastic. Until one day, Elisabetta tells me, you're wasting your time, you should do something else, like helping me with my laundry. So, good things. So, or working normally and gain some money, make some money. But I have this terrible spirit. I'm really trying everything. I'm a sort of kamikaze. But you know, we males do things when women say don't do it. And so when we do things secretly, surreptitiously, we do it at night. So very late at night, I start preparing these video clips against my wife, against the common sense. I start doing it at night. Once at night, it was 4 at night, and I start telling the story of an English saint, Saint Thomas Edding. Nobody knew about it. I don't know what to say. I was not really very awake, so I start taking my camera. I go to Elisabetta at 4 at night and I ask her, what do you think about St. Thomas? And she said something I cannot repeat here, but I publish this video and it becomes viral. It goes viral. It's incredibly successful. It's the first video clip that goes viral. And so I understand what was the secret to tell stories of saints is waking up dead people. So she was sleeping, she was dead there. I understood that my wife was much better than me, and that is why I always involve her, and we involve the family. And the format has changed, and it's the one you can find on social media now. Why are we so happy about telling stories of saints? Because as we have been listening to the story of these couples, saints really are a grace. It's a grace reading their stories, because saints are just the opposite of heroes. This is something we discovered. Who is a hero? A hero is the Superman, the super person, the superwoman who has special talents, gifts, particularly is bold and courageous, doing extraordinary things. And in front of the hero, you say, gosh, how did he do it? He is more talented than who? Than me. A hero really shows how unskilled I am. Well, the saint, so the hero says, I'm not like you. Well, the saint is just the opposite. He or she says, I'm like you. A poor man, a poor woman. And we discovered incredible stories. It was a grace to read and the stories of saints. My favorite saint, who is my patron, is St. John of God. Why? Because he didn't do anything till the age of 40, like most of us. And so there is hope for everyone. Anyone can become saint. This is the good news. This is the good news. We all can become saint. Or Saint Joseph from Cupertino. He was totally unskilled. He couldn't do anything. He got a job and he got the sack. He goes to a monastery and he was also rejected. They say, you're no good. You cannot wash dishes, you cannot pray, you should do nothing. Just keep still, go in a corner. But he's stubborn. He wants to become priest. But he was really totally unable. He was a jerk. He couldn't do anything. So he said, okay, you have to learn the gospel in Latin. And he learns only one sentence. Blaudius erdum Deo et observant. He learns only this, and he tries to learn others, but he can't. He goes to to pass the test, and the bishop, who was very tough, asks him the following: he opens the gospel and asks for one question, and that is the sentence he asks him to repeat. Exactly that sentence. And he says, well done. Okay, just one, anything, choose it according to your pleasure. And said, no, pleasure is something that belongs to evil. And so he passed masters, and he becomes a patron of students who have difficulties. And in fact, if you are at the university and you have difficulties in passing an exam, you have to pray this saint, and he will give you the answer to the test. Sometimes it's a wrong answer. And therefore, now we have to tell the story of these wonderful saint or holy spouses. You can buy it or you can find it here. So this is the story of these saints of the last century. I will tell you some story. I won't tell anything about Beltrami Quattrocchi because the story of these this couple has been already been told. I will say a few things because you're tired and you want to have lunch, I imagine. But what really struck me and Elisabetta, is Lizzie Martin. Who are these guys? He's a big guy who wants to become priest, like San Giuseppe da Cupertino wants to be priest, but he's a little stubborn, not a good student, and he cannot learn Latin, and therefore he's a watchmaker. She wants to be a nun, but the nun has said, no, you cannot become a nun. And therefore these two guys meet, fall in love, and have 9 kids. And nothing special happens in their life. They are just very fond of their kids. 4 of them die, and then also the mother dies when he's 46. And he is widow with 5 daughters, and the 5 daughters all become nuns. So a father with 5 daughters who are nuns, and one is very famous, Saint Thérèse of Lisieux. And Leonie is another daughter who becomes servant of God. We loved to hear the story because sometimes the sanctity God's call us to is just having a whole life spent to have the glory of God accomplished in someone else, not in yourself. And this is incredible, and it's difficult, tough to accept. And Saint Joseph of Nazareth is well known. He's the one who was less well known in the family of Nazareth. If you had 3 staff members, Joseph, Mary, and Jesus, who is the one you give the sack to? It's clear, you know, who gets the sack. So the holiness of Zélie Martin and Louise gives us the idea that we are not, like the Pope says, we are not solitary heroes for accomplishing a big, something big, but we are marching all together. And we do things in common, and perhaps you don't become the saint. We all have the call for holiness, but we are not all giving our name to the calendar. We won't have a saint day. We're not going to have a Nobel Prize. So I have a wonderful job, but very often I am very individualistic. The story of these 2 saints instead gives me the opportunity to be less selfish. my family had to suffer a lot because of my job, because I take it for granted. I'm the most important member of my family. I take it for granted, which is not really so granted. Luigi and Maria Beltrame Quattrocchi has already been discussed, so let's keep going. Sergio Bernardini and Domenica Pedonni, they are fantastic. Sergio is a young guy who is born in Sasso Guidano, a mountain village near Modena. Farmer's family. He doesn't study. He starts working when he's a child. He got married and has 3 kids. And in 4 years, the father, the mother, and then the sister, and then the wife, and then a son, and then the second die, and then the third son. And the people in the countryside said, "It's you. You are the problem. You're terrible. So you bring bad luck." So he goes to America and he fails. He comes back and gets married with Domenica Bedonni, and they have 9 kids. 8 become priests or nuns. And what really struck us is that they live all their life, simple life, but in gratitude. This is incredible. They perhaps are the saints of gratitude, because such a poor guy, a loser like Sergio, is grateful after all what happened to him. We listened to the previous stories of gratitude that comes after painful stories. It's an incredible message. It's a revolutionary message. And I just live an opposite life. All my life is claiming for things I don't have. Most of my faults and trespasses are because of lack of gratitude. I always see a bit of bread and I think it's me and it's what I deserve. It's just a small compensation for what I didn't get in my life. But consider what happened to this guy. Sometimes I feel ungrateful, just if I wake up with ill temper. While these 2 people really are inviting us to gratitude. Marina and Nigoshi, guy, we are in Japan in the 30s. He's a radiologist, a doctor, atheist, positive atheist, but he are fascinated by Christianity, reading a sentence in Pascal's book that says there is enough light in the world for those who want to see, but God also gave us some darkness for those who don't want to believe. And this sentence is enough not for conversion, but for raising his curiosity. And so he goes to a family of clandestine Christians. There were those Christians who were living in clandestinity. Midori, Marina, is a very silent, courageous girl who secretly prays for his conversion. He noticed this, and slowly, gradually, he fell in love of the girl and of the gospel. He's converted, and he fell ill. He got cancer. Why cancer? All radiologists of the past got cancer. When radiology was causing their cancer at the time, these 2 spouses accept this courageously, this piece of news, and one day something unexpected happens. From heaven something falls down, and when it comes down it transforms the life of the whole city, and this is the city's Nagasaki. So we have the atomic bomb that falls in the area where they live. Tagashi was not there. He was in the bunker of radiology. The bunker had been built to protect radiation
reaching out so that the people living in the surrounding area were not touched. In this case, the guy suffering from cancer is protected because he was in the bank. He runs back home, but there is nothing, no home, nothing, no streets, nothing, just some rocks, some bricks, and some burnt rests of his wife, and the rosary beads. She died praying the rosary. He takes all these rests, put it in a bucket, and he has nothing. And he hears a voice that says, "Seek for something that never dies. Look for something that never dies." And then the end of the voice, and he's wondering, what is it? Can this really save his life? And yes, this is what happens. He has this sort of internal voice, and gradually he will resurrect, come out of this terrible pain, and he lives in a sort of hut outside Nagasaki, at the fringe of Nagasaki periphery. He will write books that will become bestsellers, and we will pay for the reconstruction of Nagasaki partially. He will become the great wise to whom everybody will go. He was living in poverty in the hut, even if he had made billions some billions and billions, but he was still living in poverty. And kings, queen, people, all type of people went to him, and he became the symbol of the resurrection of Japan after the Second World War. And despite the money, he lived in poverty. And Cyprien da Carla and da France Mukasamba. The stories can be found in this book that is highly recommended by the Pope and will help us very much in this feast. And this is a terrible story because these two guys live during the horror of the civil war in Rwanda. Cyprien gets engaged with a girl who is killed in the war, and he becomes atheist. He becomes an intellectual that is considered a point of reference. He gets married with Dafrose, who is a beautiful Christian girl, and he repudiates her because the country makes him believe that she is a witch. And she's really rejected because she was considered a witch. And after a while, he accepts her back. Afrose comes back home and prays for him. He has a lot of lovers. He gets children from the lovers. She accepts his children, and at a certain point, Cyprien asks to be pardoned, and he becomes a Christian. And after a few days, the militiamen arrive to their home and kill all of them. They shoot them down, him, her, and her kids. And the last words he said before he dies are really beautiful. As soon as the gates opened, the militiaman said, "Militiaman, are you still a Christian?" And he said, "Yes, I am. I'm very, very Christian," as if you can be more or less Christian. And he said, "I'm very, very Christian. My dancing dress is ready. If the king will call me, I will go to heaven dancing." So we see the family, and the family we heard presenting their story. They speak about terrible things, wars, pain. All the stories are told in this book. It's a book that the Holy Father invites us to read. And in any case of destruction, horror, the family of Nazareth can be born or reborn. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us here. And thank you for listening. Bye. Grazie a Giovanni ed Elisabetta.
Thank you, Giovanni and Elisabetta. Thank you for this grand finale. Thank you. I remind you the book he spoke about. Please read it. And before we close, still some housekeeping. For the Holy Mass in the afternoon, it is necessary for the bishops to be at 5 by 5 with the white mitre and the stole in the Braccio di Costantino.
And as you just heard, they're going through a few details about this evening's Mass in St. Peter's Square, which will be celebrated by Pope Francis. And we invite you to join us for our live coverage of that Mass, which will include live commentary in English, along with the translation of the Holy Father's homily this evening. That will be available on the various Vatican media channels, including the Vatican audio and radio apps, the Vatican News web portal, as well as our Vatican News YouTube channel, and also through various partner stations, including Catholic TV, Catholic Faith Network, EWTN TV, Atmadrashan TV, and Luminous Radio, who have been rebroadcasting this event this morning. So a very warm thanks to our partners this morning. And you hear the thanks being extended to all of those who have helped make the events here in Rome possible. The main event here in Rome, which largely took place in Paul VI Hall, but also in a few other venues here in Rome, involved some 2,000 delegates from more than 120 countries. And of course, that involves a very large number of people in the Vatican at the Dicastery for Laity, Family, and Life, as well as volunteers from the local Church of Rome, the Diocese of Rome, and many other people who are able to make this event happen. For our part, we would like to thank especially our producers and technicians here in the studio who work to make the broadcast possible. A reminder that in addition to this evening's Mass, which begins at 6:30 Rome time, the Holy Father himself, Pope Francis, will not only celebrate this evening's Mass, but will also be addressing families tomorrow morning during the Angelus, where he will give a mandate to families and to all Catholics to become missionary disciples, to share the gospel, to share the beauty of marriage and family life at tomorrow's Angelus. So we invite you to join us for that too. Normally we do begin the Angelus immediately before noon, when the Holy Father appears at the window in St. Peter's, overlooking St. Peter's Square. Tomorrow we will begin the Angelus just a little bit early at 11:45, so please join us then as well. My name once again is Christopher Wells. It's been a very great honor and pleasure introducing the events this morning and helping with the direction of this event. Thank you once again for joining us, and please do visit our Vatican News web portal, www.vaticannews.va, as well as our Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube accounts for full coverage not only of the World Meeting of Families, but also of other important Vatican and world news. From the Vatican, I'm Christopher Wells. Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praise be...